Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I'm your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm going to do the whole episode like this. Is that good for you? Chianti. I got a lot of disturbing emails last night, and it was this. People are upset with the Chianti episode I did last time, saying I picked crap Chiantis, the ones that stink, and I'm giving Chianti a bad name. I agree. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try 4 solid, good, great brand name Chiantis today and really break them down. Talk about Tuscany's darling, the Chianti. You know, Chianti, the movie references, the old wicker basket. It's so Americana. And that's weird. But it is. Chianti is definitely a wine that many Italian youths grew up on, and a lot of sales in this category for a long time. Really, Chianti's lost some of its luster over the last 5 or 7 years. I remember when I first got into the wine business and worked with my dad, 1 out of every 4 bottles of wine seemed to be Chianti. Chianti was a huge thing. It was the Merlot before Merlot. It was the Pinot Noir before Pinot Noir. It was the go-to thing. Besides Corbeau Red and White, and besides Mouton Cadet, it seemed like people just drank Chianti and they drank Ruffino like it was going out of style. Like that little bottle of Ruffino had the cure inside. It's evolved, it's changed, and at this point, there are some really quality wines being made out of Chianti. The laws have changed like 4 times in the last 25 minutes, and so it's really interesting to see what's evolved. Now you can use Merlot in your blend of Chianti, and a lot of the old school guys, and you know who I'm talking about, those old school Italian guys, they're pissed, and I want to piss those guys off. You may not be in the wine business much longer, but they did it, and there's a lot of rule changes, and mainly 75% Sangiovese these days. I could even be wrong about that. That's how quickly it's changing. So we've got a little bit of a mix here. We've got a Chianti Reserva, and I'll talk about that. We've got 2 Chianti Classicos, and then a Chianti Classico Reserva. So we've got a little bit of a different mix here, and I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, Sangiovese is a tricky grape. It's not for everybody. It's got some great tannin structure, and it's acidic and puckers your mouth, and there's a lot of people who don't like it, but with food, it's a dream. With pasta sauce and noodles, I mean, how can you get any better? And so with all that build-up, I think we should save some wine. Did I say taste? I didn't feel like I said taste. Paste? Let's paste some wine. I'm going to paste this wine on the board. Wine numero uno. Fitor di Fano, 2004, Chianti Reserva, $15 US, no score that we are aware of. Hugo Bing signature, so I guess that's some designate. Anyway, this is a Chianti Reserva. Now, Chianti is like this, and in the middle, the sweet spot is Chianti Classico. But what some people have been doing is, with the regular Chianti name, which is kind of taboo, wicker basket, Ruffino, things of that nature, $5, $6 wines. Some people, to differentiate themselves because they're not within the vineyards of the sweet spot, have gone to Reserva. Chianti Reserva actually probably to the novice sounds more important than the Chianti Classico, as Eric shakes his head, and nobody's more of a wine novice than the E-Man. So, it's an interesting marketing ploy, but it is higher quality. It spends more time in barrel, 13% alcohol, and let's give it a whirl. What you may notice, and again, I know I hate to talk about how we can make the color better because I'm going to get 500 emails, but of how to do it with the lights and the candles and the spotlights and amazing different things that people come up with how to show color better. But the first thing that comes to mind when I think about Tuscan Reds is they're not as deep and dark as Shiraz or Cabernet-based wines or the Washington State wines. A little more ruby around, which is great. I mean, no issues whatsoever. The great Pinot Noirs of the world have a lack of color, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's something to talk about because wine people need something to talk about. So let's give this a whirl. It smells like soap. And that's interesting, mainly like Mr. Bubbles. I don't know if you had that in your bubble baths that you took when you were little. You bring your G.I. Joes, Mr. Bubbles, a lot of fun. Anyway, it really comes off very Mr. Bubbles. I mean, it hit me super fast. God, it's got very much a soapy thing going on. Little hints of, like, brand new fresh raisins right out of the pack, with the girl on it, with the red package. What is that? Sun-made. So, sun-made raisins coming through a little bit, like real fresh, like that first blast, and then it kind of goes away. I don't know, it's like a trick they have. But it's got a little bit of that going on, and then lots of soaps and bubbles, which is great if you go to a day spa, but I'm not so sure if it's really what we want in this wine. But it's not so bad, it's not so great. Now, that's pretty good. Was that like a wow with a meow? Lots of fruit, very chocolatey. I mean, just tons of dark chocolate coming through. Mocha, a little cocoa aspect. Really nice. Little hints of tannins. It's got a little bit of that bitterness going on. It will go away because it's already kind of being coated. I just see the tannins and the greenness fading away. These wines have, my watch is broken, so I can't do my thing. These have been open for Scar. They've been open for about an hour or two, so not as long as normal. We got a little late start today, but I think that will subside. Really nice cranberry flavor coming through. And we haven't talked about cranberry much. It's not something I find a lot of times in wines. So chocolate-covered cranberries coming through. I feel like going to Connecticut and, picking some cranberries. Do you pick cranberries? Bog them? I don't know. Anyway, complete, complex, good richness, great body, and just so different than the nose. Wow. Again, more towards the old school. This is not a new wave Chianti. This is traditional Chianti. This needs food. It's not as easy to drink by itself. It's very complex and profound. I'm actually extremely impressed with this wine. Let's score it a 89. I mean, I want to give it a 90 because I think it really can get there. And this wine's real good. It's just not, sometimes you root for Little Billy to get a hit. He doesn't get a hit every time, so. Let's move on. Felena, 2004 Chianti Classico, $16 US, not scored yet. So I'm really excited about this. Felena is one of the great producers of Chianti in the world. Great pedigree. Tons of respect for what they've done for a long time. They've gotten tremendous scores for their wines. Much darker, actually, than the first wine. $16 US in the sweet spot of Chianti. This is a Chianti Classico, which is the wine most people drink. This is the tan label if you're going off the Fano line, which so many people use as their reference point. This is equivalent to Fano's tan series. Let's give it a whirl. Very complex nose, actually. I'm getting a little bit of a muddy kind of. The first thing I thought of was like a muddy boulder. I guess there's some stony, kind of rocky flavors coming through as well. Little hints, very subtle hints of hot chocolate powder. The packets you use, it's like the powder smell of the hot chocolate. That's coming through a little bit, which is quite interesting. And whoa, you're not allowed to talk, are you? Anyway, I guess you are, right? It does smell nice. So chocolate covered, like hot chocolate covered powder on a rock that's muddy. Nose, very intriguing. This wine has substantial body. Really rich, very high layers of flavor. Just very thick. It's coming across, just completely covers your palate. Doesn't leave any room for questioning. The flavor, though, itself is kind of one-dimensional. Not the greatest flavor I've ever come across. Very simplistic kind of Chianti flavors, which makes me think of really like a little bit of raspberry, a hint of cedar box, a little cinnamon coming through as well. Feeling almost like a cheap box of chocolate candy with the jams inside that are just like you just get for that person you don't like that much when you go to the housewarming. You're like, here, nice rug. It's one of those kind of things. So that was funny. Why I pointed though? Quick note, I know this might bore some people, but in Russia, everybody hung rugs on their walls. It was wild. I still haven't figured it out. So when the U.S., the first couple of years, which we were still kind of Russian, we hung rugs on our walls. So here's the box of cheap chocolates. Nice rug. Sorry about that. Let's move on. Anyway, what's so intriguing is that it's silky and smooth and heavy on your palate, and this wine will trick people. will trick people because that's something a lot of people look for that makes it appealing. The flavor profile is so uninteresting and so one-dimensional that I'm not really excited about this effort. I'm going to score this wine 86 points. You know what? 85 points. It's okay. Let's move on. Villa Cafaggio, 2004 Chianti Classico. 17 US dollars. Not rated that I know of. Let's give it a whirl. Hopefully this will do better than the Felena. So the big thing with these Chiantis, let me talk a little bit more about Chianti, is that Chiantis are very sensational food-friendly wines. There's just something about the amount of fruit that they offer and some of the integration of acidity, the natural terroir flavors from the region, the tannin structure that just, I don't know, they're just like, when you think of Italian meals, a lot of people are like, oh, pasta and veal and all those kind of things. But I found even in classic French cuisine, like duck, like foie gras, like these off-the-wall pairings, sweetbreads, pigeon, that Chiantis have fared so well in the pairings. So I give them tremendous kudos. These are some of the best food wines you can get out there, and you should definitely try different mix and matches. You'd be shocked how many different foods Chianti goes, and Cocoa Pebbles with Chianti, it's heaven. Okay, again, great color again. So the last two from Classico have really brought great color. Nice nose, totally different. This is very perfumey. It's like you're walking through Nordstrom's in that section. You're getting a lot of different perfume flavors, not one distinct aspect. Really complex nose. I'm getting a little hint of black pepper. I'm also getting some clove, and I'm also getting like a oregano. I'm getting a little bit of oregano on the nose as well, which is interesting and nice and a little bit different, so that's fun. Wow. This is a profound effort. This is extremely full-bodied as well, but elegance, refined elegance with power. Christina Aguilera. This wine reminds me of Christina. She's this little, elegant little girl. Not used to be. She used to be pretty dirty. But nowadays, she's elegant, Eric. You know, but boy, does she have power in her voice. And that's what this kind of comes across as. You know, it's just so smooth and silky and real nice. And then, bammo, flavors shooting at you like bottle rockets and Roman candles. And if you've ever been hit by a Roman candle, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And it comes with raspberry, cranberry again. We're getting that characteristic today. Strawberry on this as well. Hints of chocolate, mocha, leather, tobacco. This is multi-dimensional. Black, white pepper, heck, green pepper. I mean, this is having a lot of fun with my palate. My palate enjoys it. I enjoy it because I like my palate. And this is the kind of wine I want to seek out. 17 US dollars, home run, meat and potatoes kind of wine. This is some good juice. I just love the way it finishes really dry and austere, which I know could throw some people off. But if you understand the underlining dark cranberry flavors, it's so fascinating. Great wine. Long finish, too. I'm still tasting this wine. It's rocking out. Great job. I have to score it, don't I? Let's go 90 plus points. Real good juice. For $17, an absolute steal. Casa Emma, 2003 Chianti Classico. 90 points, Wine Spectator. And this wine is 27 US dollars. This is a Reserva from the Chianti Classico. And I'm dying to try this. This would be the equivalent of the gold label Ruffino, which a lot of people drink. And maybe they should try some different things. Oh, what did I say? Anyway, 27 US dollars, and this is a very serious Chianti producer, Casa Emma. I'm really dying to try this. We've had a lot of success. It's got a big score in the Wine Spectator. It came in, it went out. Everybody was kind of looking for it. Came back in, and we're excited about it. And I haven't tried it yet. So, really dark, great color, and I'm excited about drinking it. one of the best noses I've ever seen in a Chianti wine. I've drank better Chianti pedigree wines than this, ones with higher scores, and I've got to tell you, this wine is bringing the thunder. This is the most elegant version of Chianti nose I've ever smelled that integrates vanilla into the nose, and I have rarely come across this, and what's really shocking is how obvious this is. This is like vanilla extract at its finest, mixed in with some tremendous blackberry flavors on the nose, and man, now I'm pretty pumped up. There's something about a great... Think for a minute now. Let's chill for a second. Hang out with me for a second. Is there nothing better than when you attack a wine, and you guys have watched enough shows to see how many wines, so you can see I'm pretty excited about this nose, where you have such a beautiful, profound nose, and you are so curious to what this wine is going to taste like. That's what I feel right now. And this is the beauty of wine, and doing Wine Library TV is every turn is different. There's so many things going on, and it's just amazing that, you know, this is probably the 500th Chianti I've tasted in the last 365 days, and I've never come across anything even remotely like this. It's pretty cool. Man, this nose is kicking face. Kicking face. You know, sometimes you taste a wine and you're like, did Wine Spectator overrate this? Like, what's the deal? Like, you feel like shady. Like, you know, it's like rated 90 and you felt like it tasted like a 64, or Parker, or anybody else, me. And you're like, what's the hidden motive? I can't taste this wine and not give that quick little flash of how in the world did this only get a 90-point score? Flip it. Drop down, flip it, and reverse it. Is that what Missy says? That's what you have to do with your normal thought process. A lot of people love to look at things the negative way from the wine critics like Wine Spectator and Parker and say, oh, they overrated it. How about the grossly underrated wine? This wine scored 90 points. This wine is a 93 to 94 point wine from Chianti. And what I really believe happened here is those are not the normal scores that Chianti Classicos get. And we pigeonhole things into maxing them out at 90, 91, 92. But Cabernets from the Spring Mountain could be 94, 95s. But Bordeaux's can be 97, 98s. But Sauvignon Blanc from California can't be 95 to 100. Loire Valley Sancerre can't be 95 to 100. I see a lot of that. And that's exactly what I think is going on here. Because if you've tasted this wine, not knowing what it was, and you felt what I just felt, which is pure silky sheets, and God, those are nice, loaded with as much charisma of fruit as you've ever seen in a bottle of wine, you have to question, why is this wine only 90 points? This is 93 plus in my book, easy, and I may even be underrating it for the same preface I'm yelling about. So it's time to look in the mirror for myself. Can I see my reflection in the camera? I can't. Darn it, because I would have gone 95 on this wine. This wine is complex, rich. I am dumbfounded. Now I know why so many people ordered it the first time around. They probably knew the secret that it was underrated. This is an elegant fruit bomb at its finest with tremendous blackcurrant, raspberry, and vanilla flavors. As good as Chianti gets, folks. 93 plus, and I'm mad at myself. Question of the day. What are you mad at yourself for? Yeah, what are you disappointed about yourself? You, with a little bit of me, I like throwing corks there. We're changing the wine world, aren't we? 96 points maybe.